Так, всем привет, это 35-й урок.
Guys, welcome back to your 35th intermediate Java tutorial. And now that we did all the coding of address bar, what we can do now is just go ahead and add it on the screen. So add address, two S's though, address bar, and where do we want to lay it? We'll just keep this simple. Border layout north. So pretty much now our address bar is appearing at the top of the screen. You can put it at the bottom if you want, but might as well keep things standardized. So now, like I said, our GUI is going to have two main parts. The address bar, which is where the user types the URL that they want to go to, and also the main display, which is the big area, the main area where the web page, the pictures, the text all gets displayed. So we already made a variable for this called display as a JEditor pane. So let's go ahead and actually create it right now. So display equals new JEditor pane. Doesn't take any extra information. Now what I want to do is actually call a method called display set editable false. False. Now, setEditable is a method which pretty much asks, do you want to be able to edit the contents inside the JEditor pane? Now, the reason that you would ever have this as true is if you're making a program like a Notepad or Microsoft Word or something that you would need to change the contents of, and you would want to set this as true. But typically, whenever you go to a browser, like looking at YouTube or something, you can't just change the titles of people's videos. So that's why you want to set that equal to false. So you can't change the crap inside, only view it. So after this, what I want to do is take this display, which is the main window, and I want to add a hyperlink listener. Now, what a hyperlink listener is going to do is it's going to sit on every link that gets displayed because whenever you go to a website, there's a bunch of different links usually on every single website. So what this is going to do is it's going to sit on the links and wait for you to click and grab the URL that that link points to, and it's going to pass it into load crab. So basically, remember, load crab method is responsible for reading HTML files and displaying them on the screen. So if you want to go to if you want to go to a website, you can do one of two things. You can manually type it into the address bar, or you can go ahead and click on a link, which is going to go ahead and grab the URL, and it just saves you from typing in, a link. Typing in the URL when you can just easily click a link. So that's what add hyperlink listener does. So, well, let's go ahead and work on all the good stuff. So, new hyperlink instead of, hyperlink click? Well, the reason that you have hyperlink update is because this method is called whenever a hyperlink event happens. So basically, whenever an event happens on your link. So you may be thinking, okay, only one thing can happen on my link, right? Either you click it or you don't. If you click it, it's an event. If you don't click it, then nothing happened. Well, that's actually not true. And if you're familiar with something like JavaScript, this may be a little more familiar to you. See, your computer is also going to recognize a couple more events. The first one is when you roll over an event. So check this out. This is actually, pretend this is a link right here. I'm not clicking anything, but just when I roll over it, you see how this little documentation pops up? That's an event as well. So I think that whenever you roll over it, the event is called enter, and whenever you roll away from it, then the event is called exited, and of course you can just go ahead and click it, and that would be going to the website. So remember, pretty much to sum all that up, there are not only one hyperlink event which is clicked, but there are also three: rolling over it, rolling away from it. I'll tell you guys the technical terms in a little bit, but I just want to explain that there are more hyperlink events than you guys probably think. So what we need to do now is we really don't care if they roll over a link or roll away from it. We're only concerned with if they click the link itself, because we only want to go to the new web page if they click a link. So the first thing we need to do is determine what they did to that link. So in order to do that, if event get type, and this pretty much returns the different types of events you can have, such as click, which is called activated, roll over, which is called entered, and roll away from, which is called exited. So, okay, we want to say, okay, if this is equal to hyperlink, this is a pain to type, and there we go. I was waiting for something to pop up. It's like a little satisfaction that knows that you type something wrong. Type something right. Okay, one second. So if the event, or the type of event that pretty much the user did, was equal to activated, which pretty much means, okay, did they click the link, then that's the only thing. That load crap method that we didn't create yet to go to whatever location that hyperlink is pointing to. So of course, load take a string, as we learned in the last tutorial. So in order to, well, this is probably going to be easier if I type this out. The event is rolling over the link. In order to get the URL of the link, get URL. Now this pretty much returns a URL, which, if you can see, is actually a URL object. So we already learned about URL objects whenever we made the very first networking app, but what we want to do is we actually want to convert this to a string. So in order to convert a URL object to a string object, use the method toString. Okay, looks easy enough. So why am I getting an error right here? Oh, no, get event type. So there we go. So basically, to summarize one last time, what we did in this tutorial, and I'll add everything to the screen in the next tutorial, but we worked on the main brains for the display. So the display was a JEditor pane. You couldn't edit it. So what we did was we put a listener that sits on top of every single link whenever it gets displayed, and it waits for you to click one of those links. Whenever you click one of those links, which is called activated, that's the event name, what it's going to do is it's going to grab the URL from that link, convert it to a string, and pass it into this load crap method. and that's the last method that we're going to program in the next video. So once it gets past in the load crap, then it's going to go to the new URL, whatever you clicked on, and display that web page on the screen. So in the next tutorial, what we need to do